Hi everybody, it's Anne Montgomery here from The Mindful Rider. So, I put up a little poll the other day just to see what people are interested in talking about, and there was two subjects that came up high on the scoring, and one of them was the balance of the horse. And yeah, I really get it that is an issue for a lot of riders. And I think that all of us at some time has struggled, and it is a continual work in progress to keep the horse in balance while he's on his own feet, and then even more so when we're sitting on top of them. So I thought I'd just go through a few pointers for you all to think about. And I could literally talk about this for days and go off in lots and lots of different directions. But I just want to give you a brief sort of outline of what you want to think about when you're thinking about the balance of your horse. So, why does balance actually matter in the first place? You know, does it really care if the horse is falling out of balance? Does it matter that they fall around a corner? As long as you get around the corner, it seems to be okay for some riders. But it is a problem because it puts an amount of strain onto the horse's body and the nervous system. And so it's really important for the health of the horse, for them to feel like they're in balance when they're going in a straight line, when they're going downhill, when they're going uphill, when they're turning left or right. And it's also very important for their performance. So if you're going to be competing, it's really important that the horse stays in balance while you're out there competing. And so if we go into the basics of the equine balance, we would be talking about the anatomy of the horse. And so we have to think about where are the bones aligned and how is the horse actually constructed on its skeleton. And that is the basis for everything else. But the skeleton can be pulled out of alignment by muscles and tendons. And so if the horse is not in balance and there is a tension in a muscle system, it can be pulling the bones out of position. And so we need to consider that. Is there a brace in the body where the horse is trying to protect himself because he's not in balance? So that's something that's really interesting for you to start to consider. The role of the nervous system is also really important because when the horse is out of balance, it triggers the nervous system into a little bit of fight and flight, because if they are not in balance, they feel vulnerable. And so they feel like at any moment now, a lion could come and eat me, or a cheetah. And therefore I have to be highly alert because I have to be watching my environment the whole time, because there may be a situation that I need to be aware of, especially if my rider's not aware of their surroundings around them as well. So not being in balance also affects the nervous system. So if we're going to assess your horse's balance, we want to do a few visual checks. And first of all, I'd love you to take your horse out and just observe the posture of the horse and the alignment. If you look at the horse from a sideways position, and you drew a line through the middle of the horse, the middle of the shoulders through to the middle of the hindquarters, is that line level, or is the hindquarters higher in normal conformation than the shoulders? That would mean that the horse is actually on its forehand. Is the horse built with the shoulders a little bit higher? And so a lot of our warm blood horses have got this lift in front, that the wither looks higher than the hindquarters. So that's one thing you want to look at. And also, how is the horse placing the neck? And how is he standing in posture? Does he stand up square, or does he always stand with his legs in one certain position or another? And then if you go to the back of the horse, is the horse's hindquarters looking even left and right? Are the sacroiliac joints, the top of the pelvis, looking even left and right? Are the back legs dropping evenly and straight down? Usually they don't. There's often deviations. And if we went round to the front of the horse, what about the front of the horse? Are the front legs dropping straight down? If we dropped a plumb line from the middle of the foreleg down, would it split the cannon bones and the knees in half and split the hoof in half? Or is there a deviation left and right? And is that at any part on the leg? Or is one leg, just one leg, over to one side? How is the neck placed? Is the horse always got its head turned to one side or to the other side? These are all things that affect the balance of the horse. So we can do different hands-on things to also feel the places where the horse may have tightness, and it may be an idea to bring in a body worker to have a look at the horse and see what they find, where they find tension in the horse's body, or maybe you can feel that yourself with your own hands. And I really encourage you to start to know your own horse's body and feel for things like that. And then we're going to move the horse out into a walk and trot. This is still unmounted. And we are going to see, how does the horse move in movement? You know, are they more on the forehand at this point? Are they leaning one way or the other as we move them on a circle? It'd be great to have a friend leading your horse, and that you can start to notice this. And then you also want to make sure that they don't hold the head too tight, because you need to see where is the head and neck swinging to, because that also gives you compensation patterns in the horse's balance system. And so often the conformation itself can be a big problem with the horse's balance not being ideal, but you can help improve that. Just because the horse is built higher behind than it is in front, it doesn't mean that that's the end. You can help that horse improve. There's some things you can't improve, but or you can't completely fix, I should say, but you can certainly improve things for the horse. And then there is the situation that there may be injuries, or there may be health conditions that also affects the horse. And simple things like that is, does the horse breathe deeply, or does the horse hold its breath? And if it is holding its breath and there is a brace in the rib cage because it's holding its breath, it can also affect a lot more throughout the horse's body. The rib cage is sort of pushed out or held in, and that is something that we can also address and help the horse with. And then there could be injuries. So there could be a lameness that's starting, that's making the horse unbalanced going around a corner, or on one rein compared to the other. And that's another whole path that we could walk down, talking about things like that. And then there is the rider. So now the rider gets on board, and how does the rider affect the horse's balance? This is huge. And so the horse is often influenced by the rider not being in balance. And as you all know, that's something that I really go into usually when I first start teaching you, is I go into the rider's balance to see if that's affecting the horse, and then I blend the two together depending on the starting point. And so this is another thing that's really has to be thought about as well. And another huge thing is the equipment that's used on the horse. And so I don't use side reins, I don't use running reins, I don't use martingales, I don't use anything like that. I let the horse tell me its truth. And so I don't want the horse to be tied down in any way, or a Pessoa system or anything like that that they can brace against, or it can hide what the horse is actually trying to show you. And so that's another thing to think about. And then we also need to think about the tack and the saddle fit. That is a massive, massive issue. Is often I will talk to riders about their saddle or their tack fit, and they will almost delete that information when I give it to them, because they're saying, I've just had my saddle fitted, or I've just bought this saddle. But still, often saddles are causing a huge amount of problem with the balance of the horse and his way of going. So that's something that you really have to be curious about and dig into to see what you think about that sort of stuff. Anyway, so this is basically a very quick talk about the balance of the horse. And things to help it would be, always my choice is to start on the ground without the rider on the horse's back, and doing not just groundwork, which is just teaching the horse the basic skills of leading and turning and things like that, but going into in-hand work, which is much more, has a much more finesse and much more care and noticing of how the horse feels. And that helps the horse to improve his balance without the struggle of the horse having to carry the rider. And then from that, I will also go into lunging, again with no equipment, just a lunge line on, to see now can the horse maintain its balance while it's on lunging and it's further away from me, and have a very clear and steady progression of how to get to that point of lunging. I don't just throw them out on the lunge and hope they know how to do it. I don't throw them in a round yard. It's very structured in the way that I teach them to lunge. And then when that's going really well, then I will start to put the rider onto the horse and see how is it now going, and letting the rider start to notice that tiny detail, the tiny little detail of the horse just lost its balance to the left or to the right, and helping the rider to be able to correct that before the horse gets too out of balance. A lot of it is about you as a rider and a person on the ground noticing the tiny little bit of imbalance and fixing it before it becomes an avalanche of collapse to one side or the other, or forward or backwards. Anyway, I hope that this has helped you all, and thanks for the opportunity to come on and have this little chat with you, and I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Okay guys, bye.